Hello everyone, Anushka Bhatkar here. Delighted to be your host for today as a proud member of a resource management group at EduRam and excited to guide us through today's program and ensure we all have a productive and enjoyable experience together. Yeah. So the roller coaster of power skills in the world driven by the technology is an exciting look at how technology affects the skills we need to succeed. So join us as we ride through the ups and downs of adapting a new technology while improving importance of human abilities. As technology keeps changing in different areas, there is a bigger need of power skills. The skills include soft skill, critical thinking, ability, and emotional intelligence. Power skills are vital abilities that empower success in work and life, from communication of leadership to ensuring you thrive in any situation. Get ready for an adventure through changing world's digital technology, where we will learn how to make the most of innovation. So hold on tight as explore the twists and turns of this thrilling ride together. So introducing our panelist, Mr. Sagar Radhi. Sagar Radhi is a professional with overall decade of dedicated experience spanning business partnering and learning and development and generalist role within IT and BPS consulting sector. Mr. Radhi brings a holistic perspective to every endeavors. Yeah. So coming introducing to Renuka Singh. She is a learning management profession with over 13 years of experience across telecom service, IT, and banking and consultancy domain. She has overseen and managed wide range of training intent including behavior training, technical training, functional training, and product training, and project and research-based training. Introducing Rupali. Rupali is an experienced OD manager with over 10 years of experience in end-to-end L&D execution and delivery, as well as LMS management and people management. Rupali has demonstrated her expertise in leading L&D functions for mid-sized companies and serving as a location head in multinational corporates. Introducing our moderator, Mr. Marin Vergis. Marin is a professional with extensive experience in management, operation, training, and learning development across various industries. Currently serving as a manager in L&D at Sama in Pune. Marin previously had a position in Tech Mahindra, India, where we honed his skills over several years. His expertise in technical domain, leadership, life skills, training, and reflecting a well-rounded understanding of learning and development needs. So, Mr. Vergis, please take it ahead. The frame is all yours.
Hey, hi. Thanks, Anushka. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
You're able to hear me, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. So thanks everyone for joining in. I hope this next hour and a half or so is insightful for all of us, and welcome fellow industry peers and the people in the L&D and HR function. I think just to give it some context, I think I would you know probably borrow the words from Simon Sinek, where soft skills is something which underplays the importance of us of that entire domain, right? And he calls it life skills, and I'm glad that we are also not calling it soft skills but power skills. And in my opinion, calling it soft skills kind of decreases this. So there's a psychological perspective which comes in, and it kind of decreases the value of that entire set of competencies, if I can call it, and that maybe could be one of the reasons why it gets underplayed in a lot of scenarios in a lot of organizations. It's not the first time that you're hearing to this or listening to this specific conundrum, or I don't think it will be the last time. Probably when I kind of heard about power skills, and when EduRam thought of, hey, let's discuss this. The first song that came to my mind was an old Bollywood song called "Main Lela Lela Chillaunga Kurta Faad Ke," right? And we have been going on and on on power skills or soft skills for umpteen number of years, and I'm sure it will continue. But what is it? I mean, within that space, what is it that we wanted to achieve today is what makes sense. And let me bring to your notice a very recent report by McKinsey, where it says that by around 2030, there needs to be at least 24% increase on social and emotional skills given that there are intelligent machines that are today taking over, or maybe taking over would be too drastic a word, but are coming into our lives, uh, which are doing more physical, repetitive, basic cognitive tasks is being taken care by these intelligent machines. So how do we make that shift in the next couple of years? By 2030, if the workforce has to be 24% more productive, or has to put in more importance on these skills, what is it that we can do, where, because at in the crux of the matter, all of these lies with the HR, L&D, OD function, right? So what we will be discussing today, and probably the themes around which we will be speaking today, would be how power skills is going to be an empowering force, how we have to shift our mindsets in two manners. One, to unlock the potential of the power skills, as well as in the disrupted AI space, how do we now change our mindset to kind of give more importance to all of this. Then we will also speak about crafting pathways, because I think those pathways are much more relevant today, and is going to be relevant in the future, rather than we doing standalone training based on our TNIs. How do we then align the business metrics or the business priorities to this human capital development? And then we kind of save some space for the $1 million question, which is return on investment. How do you make or create strategies so that we are able to measure the impact of these power skills investments that we are going to make, so that we get more money to spend more money? That's where I would put it. So with that background in mind, let me pose my first question to Renuka. Renuka, given your experience in the field, how do you think power skills will empower associates to rise? Have you seen any examples where people, have been hired for Java, but were, had to be let go because they were not able to have a learning mindset, or were not able to critically think through, or did not have a solutioning mindset? What do you think?
Thank you for the question, Merin. And hello, everybody. So, in my opinion, power skills, as the phrase explains itself, it plays a pivotal role in empowering any associate, driving success in the workplace. This skill actually gives you an edge over the others. It gives you power over rest of the audience. When we talk about power skills, we are referring to those essential interpersonal and behavioral competencies that enable an individual not just to excel in their respective roles and contribute, but also to stay aligned with organization's objective. For an instance, I like Merin just posed, in case if somebody was hired for great Java competencies but was fired because did not have a learning mindset. If somebody fails to communicate effectively, when would that happen? That would happen. I have great technical competency, but I have not been able to comprehend. I have not been able to translate the ask or the requisitions which has been raised. I have failed to collaborate with colleagues. I have failed to build relationships with clients or stakeholders. I am setting myself up for failure. It is important and it's critical for organizations to realize and understand that human skills, life skills are important for us to grow consistently. I need to have a learning mindset. I need to communicate effectively. I need to be a great leader wherein I'm able to influence. Consciously, unconsciously, we'll end up influencing a lot of people around us. And if I'm not doing great with those human skills, I'm failing to influence people. I'm failing to communicate. I'm failing to lay down objectives properly, right? So it is not just about talking to clients and peers, but it is also about adapting, the ability to adapt as per the new changes and the new challenges which are thrown at an individual with the way the dynamics of the current era. Thanks to technology, it's vast. Okay, we're evolving at a great pace, and if I fail to cope up with that speed, if I'm not agile enough, if I'm failing to adapt, I will soon be a dinosaur. The only reason why I can sustain my existence is if I pawn the soft skills, which, like very rightly put across by Merin, it somehow gives you that mind block, it just blocks your thinking. The power skills would rather be a better word. If you fail to hone those skills, you would not be able to translate any technical competency which is thrown at you. Whereas if you excel in communicating well, if you excel in influencing others, if you excel in adapting, if you excel in assessing emotionally, and if you're emotionally intelligent, you will be able to have an edge over others. You will have that niche, right? Emotional intelligence is not just another power skill that empowers an associate. It also helps you manage and understand the emotions of all your stakeholders effectively. It will help you understand the personalities that you're dealing with and how would you prepare your pitch, your ideas, your opinions so that you get buy-ins. And for anybody to be able to translate that opinion, that idea across effectively, it's important that we learn to communicate openly. That is what I think. So if people are willing to hire people with great technical competencies, we also have to focus on the willingness to have an open mind to learn, ability to adapt, ability to influence others positively, and of course, something which cannot be negated is the ability to collaborate well. If you're failing to collaborate well, we're just diluting the entire, probably the essence of the project or any task which is given at hand. You are setting yourself up for a success and nothing less than success or perfection if you possess these skills. And honestly speaking, these are certain skills which not everybody is born with. Sometimes it's an acquired skill. We take some time to learn, develop, and practice this. So it could be a long term process, but as an employer, as an organization, and as learning heads, we ourselves will have to educate and have an open mind about how effectively these skills will help our people translate their tasks and how it is going to help us meet our objectives.
Great, wonderful. Thanks, Renuka, for that. You put it very beautifully. I think uh, how it empowers is just like you mentioned, right? You stay aligned to your goals. If you're not able to catch up with it, it kind of dilutes the work that you're doing. And I think at the end of the day, salary and all of that, perks and benefits, all of that is on one side, and job satisfaction. I think that would be the at the end of the day the core of why we come to work. And if your work is getting diluted, you don't have that job satisfaction, and in turn you are unhappy, and it gives rise to a lot of other problems. So I think that's how it becomes you become more empowered with power skills. Thanks, Renuka. Which actually brings me uh, to Sagar. Sagar, with Renuka speaking about why is it important and how does it empower people to rise and to be more emotionally intelligent and collaborate with other people. uh, do you think that there is a need for um, shifting our mindsets, right? And we see that there is a dire need for that shift in mindset when people approach power skills as an area. So can you share your thoughts on how this can be achieved, and maybe share some practical tips where you have probably influenced it, done it, anything of that sort would be helpful for all our viewers.
Thanks for your question, Marin, and good afternoon, everyone. And it's pleasure to be here. Uh, I would like to start with an anecdote. So I joined this company 3 years back, and we have a practice of having a review with my manager every quarterly, right? And it's been, and I'm sure, and I'm because it's an appraisal time in most of the companies, right? So there's one constant feedback which my manager gives me is that I still somewhere not able to delegate things properly. Now I'm at a managerial role since last 5 years in this company, last 3 years, and you could see that I'm still struggling to learn that skill. Now many people will take delegation and to that matter any power skill as something which is easy to understand, but it's actually very tough to attain that. So I think that mindset is something which comes into picture where we identify the difference between soft and hard skill, and George Bersin also has very clearly articulated that the skills for future are not hard skill, but they are more of a behavioral skills. And we named it with the multiple names, like we call it power skill, we call it human skills. So everywhere the notions are the thing, but the essence is same. Now the mindset has changed. So with the advent of Gen AI and technology, I was able to learn ChatGPT in 1 month, but I'm still struggling to learn delegation. So that's the toughness you are tried, because soft skill can only be learned when you implement it, when you learn it. It takes time. It takes time to develop and the change in the behavior. And even after so much time, so much practice, I'm still struggling, and I'm sure most of us struggle. That's why when you create the training need analysis, but the problem is that many times I have seen that employees are hesitant to select those courses. They give more focus in learning technologies and giving more focus, and they underestimate the power of power skill. So I think that mindset definitely should change. And most of the interviews, and I'm sure my co-panelists also will agree that now various organizations have included a lot of assessment stages where they actually check the cultural fitment of the employee, which is nothing but to understand what are the power skills those candidates will bring onto the table, and will adjust into the culture of that organization. Now, the culture can be defined in multiple ways. Some people believe that collaboration is their cultural piece. Some people believe transparency, inclusivity. So actually candidates and employees are evaluated on those styles. While I was preparing for this webinar, I read one very beautiful study done by IBM where they tried to identify some of the key skills. And I was actually surprised to see that from that research, IBM said that willingness to be flexible, being agile, and adaptation was actually one of the topmost skill which they feel CEO, all the CEO wants to focus in their organization. So that mindset is definitely requires a shift, but I think an organization plays a very important role there. So how much importance a manager give and weightage to the power skill in the appraisal discussions, in the annual review, that actually motivates employees, right? And there is also one very good research that if you promote wrong people just because they were delivering outcome, but somewhere they are lacking the power skill, that also altogether promotes the bad culture. So while the mindset change is required at an employee level where they understand the power of power skill, the mindset also required at an organizational level so that they give more weightage and credit. And all L&D professional has to play a very important role when they do the traditional competency framework, how much importance and categorization they give it towards the power skill. So that's what is my response, Merin.
Great, great. Thanks, Sagar. And I think just if I wanted to, you know, put everything together that you spoke about how it is difficult to attain, power skills. It is probably easy to pick up things that are new in the market, more from a technology side. But of course, that shift in terms of mindset is necessary. Probably some of the ideas that you suggested was to where the managers have to actively speak about it during their appraisal or performance reviews, or even during feedback sessions that happen. I think because sometimes these appraisal discussions happen only once a quarter or something like that. But yeah, and to introduce it into our competency frameworks, and that I think is going to be a huge benefit, because once that happens,
नहीं नहीं, ये फ्यूचर में
all
ना
of the other aspects kind
अब
of
जैसे ये केस होगा
fall
ना,
in.
जैसे अभी ये सहीजा का केस हुआ है
Right.
जो
I think somebody's, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
don't
you.
worry, Merin. Go ahead. I have muted
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
So, so these are also the power skills, right?
yeah. Right.
Proactiveness.
Yeah,
So technology fails and human skills win.
correct. Thanks, Sagar. We had a live example. So coming to you, Rupali, y- so you work with giants like TechM, where sometimes we don't have the liberty of hyper personalization, and in such cases, building a pathway to make it more relevant is extremely important for the end user. So, what would be your suggestions? If you can throw some light on that, so that we are able to create those pathways as well as meet the org goals, because I think without that, it would be very difficult to even justify what we are doing.
Yes, and I will draw on Sagar's example because when he talked about, I've learned ChatGPT in 2 months, but I'm still struggling with delegation. I can totally understand that because when we talk about power skills and so there's a lot of unlearn and relearn that happens with power skills. It's not a new skill that you're acquiring. You are already practicing the skill to the best of your ability, to the best of your knowledge, which means that you have some uh, experience as well as you're also wrote in your ways that you tackle a particular situation or handle a client or manage a stakeholder. So when it comes to making it customized, that becomes a challenge for learning and development because everybody needs to have excellent interpersonal skills. That's a given. Everybody needs to have really good communication skills. That's also a given. But not everybody is at the same level when it comes to interpersonal skills, and interpersonal skills itself is a vast umbrella. It has multiple flavors. I'm good at 10 of them, and Sagar is or Renuka is probably good at other 13. All right. So it's always a combination. All right. And in my last 16, 17 years in learning and development, what I've realized is that yes, there are some benchmarks that need to be created. All right. What helps us is knowing which skill is going to be crucial at which role in the organization. So when we talk about organizational pyramid, a power skill competency matrix is something that is our guiding light. All right. um, Understanding what are the different permutations and combinations of a role and which skill is going to be utilized more, which skill is going to be more crucial, is critical for us as people who are in charge of learning and development and OD in an organization. So, a good place to begin with is to understand the roles and the necessary crucial power skills in that role. Create your own competency matrix and make sure that you're able to line up the competencies with your learning plans for the people. All right, having learning paths. So, I made a few. I quickly jotted down a few things. So, one was you need to know what skills are you addressing, what skills are must haves. Okay. And I'm glad to see that a lot of your engineering institutes are already addressing these areas, so it's not a surprise. So I know that earlier when we used to have a campus batch in the organization, they would just not understand why we spending 15 days to a month just focusing on their soft skills and their power skills and how are you greeting each other and things like that. That used to be they used to, like in college when kids keep some subjects or some topics for option, so this used to be one of those optional areas earlier. And even the management used to some extent look at it that way, that it's okay, you're doing a soft skill training, I'm just going to pull them out for 2 hours, 3 hours, is that okay, kind of a thing. So but now no, everybody understands that it's not what you say but it's more of how you say it. All right, the importance of these aspects of the customer experience is very, very crucial of how your organization flourishes. All right, so an equal importance goes. So we have created two structures. One is on the tech competency and the other one is on the power skill competency. There's organizational benchmarking that happens. What we have also been able to create is evaluations. If you need any assistance, we will step in, we'll do coaching. It is a part of the career path in the organization. So all of your learning programs, all of your evaluations eventually become a guiding light of, okay, what is it that you need to focus on to give you that little push so that you are able to come up with better outcomes. All right. So career mapping on the basis of power skills competency matrix helps a lot.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rupali. I think you gave it the flavor of where we need to start and how we can do it. I think the start is where we unlearn everything that we have already learned, and then relearn whatever is that is missing, and probably come in with that aspect of creating frameworks which are relevant to your industry, your domain, your people, your culture, because I think that matters a lot rather than copy pasting it from somewhere else, because that might be the start of it failing. So thanks for that. And I think mapping the role that you want to go to, and then the skills that are required, be it technical or be it power skills, and then identifying the gap and then bridging that gap. I think that is what is going to put yourself on uh, the slingshot to your career development. Thanks, Rupal. Uh, so Sagar, coming back to you, you spoke about mindset change, uh, and one of the most talked about things in the market or in the industry today is about AI changing the technical landscape. Uh, do you think that this will force people to adopt change faster?
Yes, and just because we are talking about power skill, that doesn't mean that I'm against technology. I want to clear that part. I'm a big fan of AI, and the generative AI in HR is something which is my recent topic which I'm deeply studying. So I truly believe in that because AI only can help in scaling up the solution. So, for example, Rupali very beautifully articulated the career mapping. Now, with our head size of company, right, with 2,700, if I make my entire L&D team does this exercise manually on Excel, I don't think so that I'm able to make them retain in my organization, right? So definitely with the AI tool, with the new tools which we especially use in L&D, like we have transition from LMS to LXP. So that learning experience platforms really help you because this helps you. One is scaling. Second is it helps you to do a lot of self introspection where you could identify your current state and final state, identify the gap. And this AI generated system can give you very personalized solution. So the only way we can achieve personalization is only via leveraging the technology. So that helps employees, and that has helped us in implementing the change, you could say, a little faster. And with the plethora of documents and the content available, uh, employees are able to identify their need for any sort of skill, power skills for that matter, and they can do it. Plus, with the help of technology, the advent of cognitive assessments are available, right? Which actually driven on that perspective that how it can help you to do that. So yes, AI, in my view, it definitely has at least has helped us in our organization to scale it up at a larger way and bring up that personalization impact.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sagar. Which actually, I have a follow-up question on now that we have established that AI is disrupting and we can utilize AI to, get our work done faster, better, cheaper, whatever. I mean, we can think of the adjective later, but I think it's helping us make that incremental changes that we need to make. But given the fact that AI is going to come in, what do you think is the or rather are the power skills that we should now pick up so that we are able to make that mindset shift? Because at the end of the day, I think HR, L&D, OD, all of these, time and again we have been said that we are human centric, and suddenly when AI comes in, uh, you know AI is only about taking out the human, or rather shifting uh, a particular work from that human to a machine or a bot or whatever, or maybe to another human. But at the end of the day, it's looked upon very, uh, at least from a traditional mindset, if we are speaking about it, it's looked upon or frowned upon. So given the fact that it is going to happen, there's nothing that we can do. It's like taxes, right? We don't like it, but we'll have to do it. Yeah. So uh, long question, but let me just put it into a few words. Given that it is happening, what is it that we need to now change in ourselves to be more adaptable to it?
Yes, and yes, very insightful question, Marin. And first thing which I want to clear that yes, we are human-centric function. We so there is no doubt about that. And yes, I say that it's not artificial intelligence. It's all about augmented intelligence that we have to work towards, where human works alongside AI and design a solution. So if we think that we alone could drive it, as I gave you some real examples, the scaling and the personalization is not possible. But in augmented intelligence with the intervention of a human skill definitely makes a lot of impact. And definitely there are number of power skills, and which my co-panelists always said that maybe people are good in one, two skill. It's a combination, and one cannot be good in everything. Everyone has their own, you could say, area of expertise. But one common thing which I feel is relevant and will be relevant for the next multiple year is lifelong learning mindset. So that's the only power skill I think which everybody, if develop that, where we constantly, as Rupali already stated, unlearn, learn, relearn, challenge ourselves, challenge our bias. If we have that growth mindset and a mindset to learn everything which comes on our way, I think that way we can definitely achieve our success and goal, and we can work together. In the recent time, AI has only helped us in releasing lot of our boring, mundane tasks, giving us lot of bandwidth to us. Now it's up to us what we are doing with that bandwidth. Are we using that bandwidth just to waste it, or we are utilizing that bandwidth to deliver and work on critical tasks, thinking ability, innovation, creativity? So if you are still utilizing that time and again going into mundane and boring tasks, then definitely AI is not that helpful. But if you utilize that time, think, because work on some critical assignment projects, do some more human connects, connect with your team. I think, I'm not sure in which what is the mode of working for most of the people here. We are working in a remote function post pandemic, right? So it's very important for us to connect with everybody, understand. So whenever we have some time, we always ensure that we utilize that time in connecting with our employees, understanding how things are going on for them. So lifelong learning mindset is the one skill which I think is more important and will remain relevant for the years to come.
Great, great, wonderful. I think there's a particular word in the Japanese philosophy for it, which I am kind of forgetting. I think the book Ikigai speaks about it. But yeah,
Are you
if I
talking
may,
about Kaizen? Looking for Kaizen? Because that's
yeah,
the one that came to my mind when he was talking about it, and it made
right,
perfect sense. Sorry.
right. I think Kaizen speaks about more of continuous improvement, if my memory serves me right. Uh, but yeah, anyway, I think the more than the word, it's about the intent, right? I think if we are able to inculcate that childlike curiosity with which we used to learn any subject, I think especially subjects that we like, maybe we need to go back to our childhood, kindle that childhood spirit within us to have that lifelong learning capability, and be on that path of continuous improvement of Kaizen, just like Rupali mentioned. So, slightly shifting towards another angle to which we should speak about is, aligning business priorities with this human capital development, because at the end of the day, the moolah comes from business, right? So, Renuka, how do we bring the importance of power skills up in the priority list for the business? Uh, you know, when we do that activity of planning and all of those things, sometimes this takes a back burner attitude or a standstill approach. So how do we bring this up in that priority list for the business?
So it is really essential to articulate the direct correlation between power skills and key business outcomes. Now, the way it can be done or achieved is we need to, first off, we need to speak to right set of people. Educate your own leadership by showcasing how these skills can empower your own employees and how it actually impacts not only employee engagement, it also impacts employee experience. End of the day, now when we talk about this human aspect, okay, as human beings, we ourselves probably never tapped this side of us, but then we are always hungry to learn. If as an individual, I am given certain task and I'm expected to do that task for the entire year, at some point in time, I would contemplate as to why am I doing this? Am I just doing it because it helps me with my bills or with my salary? What am I achieving out of this? Where is my learning? What is that new skill which I have picked? It is employee experience also. This alignment of business objective and power skills has to be represented to right set of people. As you know, as in charge or as L&D personnel, we ourselves will have to educate right set of people around this. We need to drive the strategic important. We need to highlight how this helps us with achieving our organizational goals more effectively. Also, aligning power skills development initiative with business strategic objective can also further, underscore their significance. We can lay a lot of emphasis on how these skills enable our employees to effectively navigate challenges, maybe ideate or innovate, and also how it fosters a positive work culture. We can position them as critical enablers for our organizations. That positioning is important. And now we here in this panel, as our representatives of our respective learning teams from different organizations, we are responsible for doing it. We will have to do that. We probably need to get into that process of that 360-degree feedback, how things have worked out for you. How has it affected your businesses, not just by your superiors and leaderships, but also other parallel functions that I work with? As an individual, have I been a strength to my organization and to other parallel functions? That assessment and that visibility of that outcome or that introspection is important. That will help us align, that will help us secure buy-ins and also get a support from our senior leaderships. Okay, and now in driving something which is so critical, it is really important that we have the support from our leadership. It is just paramount. So identify right set of people, plan it out, align it with your business objectives, see how it helps you achieve better. It is not just about what you're delivering, but how you are delivering. The experience, end of the day, that is something which matters, right? I can probably get the job done elsewhere. Somebody else can do that transaction for me. But how was the experience with that transaction, which will matter? End of the day, thanks to technology again, I'm not, I am also a proponent of technology. It makes my life easier. It gives me that bandwidth to strategize, to think, and to be able to deliver that kind of experience which I'm talking about. End of the day, I would like to work with people who have given me that experience as a client, or even for that matter, as a service provider. So if my business is able to get that relativity, I think our job is easier. I think our job is half done, battle half won.
Marin, you're talking on mute.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks,
Marin,
Sagar.
if you allow, can I just add like to the same
Absolutely.
question, right? So,
Yeah.
yes. So, Renuka has a very, you know, in a very comprehensively, I would say she has articulated. So business will definitely give us a buy-in when they see the outcome. And this is not only in the context of power skill, but for that matter, any L&D program and initiative, right? So if you could show them and tie it back to their objective, how it can generate the ROI. So if you can go till level 4 in the Kirkpatrick model, of your evaluation, I think that's where I think it's very easy to get the buy-in from the business for any of your program. But if it's just a program aligned to one competency but not aligned to outcome, I think business is also getting smarter and they may not fund your projects and those initiatives. So they want HR and L&D team to speak their language, talk about outcome, talk about the impact. But the other side is it takes some time to measure the impact of power skill, as I said, right? So I think that's where we need to pay more attention.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sagar, for that addition. And I think one of the movies that came to my mind when Renuka and I think Sagar also was speaking about all of this, because we were speaking about how do we position this, how do we now tie it out to the business outcomes and things like that. I remembered Shah Rukh Khan of Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. He goes to the girl's house and woos every single person. So it's not only the girl's father. You have to do it with the girl's Tauji, the mama, the Masi, everybody, right? You have to go through that rut of a boss, okay, let me not only speak to the business heads, let me also go and speak to a manager. come back and say that, hey, there are 4 people in your team. Do you think this will help? Then they can go and rally for our ideology or our idea. And that way, I think it's like House of Cards. I don't know how many of you have seen it. To some extent, I have, not the entire thing, but it's about lobbying for your interest. But at the end of the day, that interest is not your interest, but the interest of the organization, right? And of the people. So yeah, let's all become Shah Rukh Khan, right? But anyway, coming back to the $1 million question, and Sagar just touched upon it, which is ROI. Strategies for measuring, and there's Kirkpatrick model, and all of these things are there. But Rupali, the holy grail is to measure the success, convince the business that the money is well invested. Uh, what are your time-tested methodologies to ensure effective measurement of return on investment, ROI?
So ROI always makes me smile because ROI for technology is pretty straightforward. We've cracked the code. We know how do we want to measure the skills and skill evaluations and things like that. There was, in fact, I was just for kicks, I was picking some of the conversation points and seeing what is ChatGPT's opinion about it right now. Um, and there are areas that come out as measurable, but not so measurable. So when we talk about leadership, when we talk about empathy, when we talk about resilience in our roles, those are kind of difficult to track. All right. But there are methods. You can conduct a longitudinal study in your organization, see what is the customer experience, customer response on it. All right. But yes, just to, when we talk about the return on investment, okay, the investment part of it needs to be first, like everybody said, that, we have to have the buy-in from our stakeholders. We have to almost woo everybody in the organization. There's your stakeholders, there's the finance, there's the CEO of the organization, that you need to get the buy-in. Yes. All right. But there will be areas that are your, that are going to be your focus areas. So, what are the big bets in the organization this year? What areas are we focusing on? Are we going to focus on leadership so much, or are we going to be focusing on innovation and creativity? All right. Do we have an innovation challenge, or do we have a hackathon this year? What is it that we are going to drive? And that kind of helps us identify projects, let's call it L&D projects, that will be able to help us gauge how well have we worked on those and what has been our output on these projects. Okay. So first is to understand what is the organization focusing on. With AI coming into the game, while the rote work and the repetitive work, yes, in those areas we will have taken off our hands, but it will also allow us and give us space to focus on the softer aspects, the areas where the human connect is important. Like AI cannot empathize with you. That leadership skill or that collaborative approach has to be a human element. All right. So when we talk about understanding the ROI in the power skill space, first, understand what are the areas that we are going to prioritize this year. All right. What kind of projects will be able to help us target and bring out those skills from people? All right. And then do we have the measures? All right. There will be standard processes where, because you have a framework in place, you know what skills are required at what level, and you will have your evaluations and skill badges in place to be able to gauge how the person is, grading themselves up from the last level to this level. All right. But yes, that gives us a whole new opportunity to be creative in our approach, come up with innovative projects and innovative championships within the organization to be able to gauge how is it that we are going to measure the power skills and the improvement in power skills in the organization. And which is the reason why longitudinal study, at launching a longitudinal study at the start of the year, comes in very, very handy.
Okay, wonderful. I think that gives us some insight into how we can do it, and that's majorly deciding on the business objectives, then tying it to the outcomes that we want, and probably at the start of the year launching that longitudinal study to then be able to measure all of the outcomes. Great. Sagar, Renuka, if you would like to opine, shed some light on how you are doing it.
Like Rupali mentioned, very similar approach. Now, see, these are certain skills which cannot be assessed immediately. Unlike she rightly mentioned that you can assess, it's easy to assess technological competencies. It is easy to assess your project deliveries because they come with certain timelines. It comes with certain expectations already, easy to map. When it comes to power skills, when it comes to probably communicating effectively, it comes to adapting to challenges, or collaboration. How do you assess this? What I strongly believe in is, again, I'm going back to my thing which I was referring to. I like to talk to people. Okay, I help them get into some introspectional surveys. I help them assess their own areas of improvement. Okay, what they have gone through. How did they handle those situations? How have they evolved? Here, when we talk about power skills, one-on-one, so why one-on-one? I mean, you can, of course, talk to people in batches also, but then that one-on-one connect where people are able to introspect, assess themselves, and then identify their own hurdles. That is something which is going to help. But then with an organization size of mine, or for that matter, anybody who's here in this panel, it becomes difficult to be able to get into that kind of mode. Okay, you rely on technology, you probably prepare those questionnaires, you rely on surveys, you rely on feedbacks which you get from other departments, other teams. You will have to have some space and some time has to be allocated to these people. Okay, this can probably come up with a quarterly plan, half yearly plan, annual plan, where people are able to assess themselves. They come up with their own initiatives. I strongly believe that I can only work with people. When I say I am referring to my entire team, we can only work with people who are willing to work with themselves. Right? If that assessment, that introspection is the first thing, first level, first check. If that is in place, if that is taken care of, if I get that individual buy-in there, rest of it is next level and can be easily achieved through a lot of other, mechanics and um, surveys, feedbacks, trainings, and other programs which can be introduced. Something also which I do here, I mean, in fact, I in fact encourage everybody to do is identify your own ambassadors, create a community, and that can be in reference to anything. Let them propagate your vision. Let them talk about how things have changed for them after adapting to certain skill. Because you can't be everywhere, but you can have extensions. Create your communities, work with your communities. That is another thing which helps. So I
Great.
think that is it. Yeah.
Thanks, Renuka.
There is one thing that actually comes to my mind when Renik was talking is that do you have a measure in place to track the happiness quotient of your employees? All right. Because when it comes to management skills, that comes in handy. All right. There are various different mechanisms that are available. You can just pick one and employ that in your organization. But understanding where the employee's happiness quotient is will also be a good indicator to understand which are the areas that we need to focus on as well.
Also, in addition to that, I'm sorry, Sagar, not just that, something which we did recently was when we talk about a great place to work thing, not the certification, but then, a great organization to be part of. Where do you foresee yourself? What is the expectations which you have from your organization? What kind of, as in, what kind of values would you want to project? What areas would, I mean, what, as an employee, what are your expectations as far as your values are concerned? So when I talk about, transcending into your workspace, what is it that I project? What is it that I foresee? right? Even that helps. Even that helps. If people know that I'm sitting at A point and I want to be in B, or I want to see myself in B1, this is what I foresee. And when they see and when they lay down those expectations for the employers, it becomes easier for us also to be able to help them translate their expectations and their business objectives. Over to you, Sagar.
Makes sense.
Thank you. I think I'm so happy to hear because few years back when we always used to talk about many people they used to they were hesitant in answering these questions. So I'm very happy that most of the organization are aligned and talking about ROI. I'll give the answer to this question in two things because I want to give our audience a different perspective as well, and will leave them with that thought to grill it further. So one is that what we do in measuring the ROI, which I think the point which was left is talent mobility. So how many talent you are able to rotate internally, able to fulfill the open position by upskilling in-house talent rather hiring from external. That can become a very good ROI case study if we do that. And the second perspective which I want to give, which may become a controversial statement, that don't run behind always ROI and outcome and deliver that. There are few things which you have to leave it just like that and just execute it. In the quest of measuring the outcome, I have seen many times the objectives of the program fizzle out. So don't just only run behind ROI sometimes, is what the another perspective I wanted to give to our audience. Back to you, Merin.
Thanks, Sagar. I think that last resonated with the three idiots, you know, पैसे के पीछे मत भागो, something like that. So yeah, I think it's also as custodians of that human-centric approach, I think it is necessary to also understand that, you know, sometimes it is necessary to make those investments. You are going to get maybe it's not immediate, that return on that investment is not immediate. Maybe a few years down the line, you will have proponents within the organization or within your ecosystem who are going to then come back and say that, hey, when I was a junior and you invested in me, I'm able to see that value. And today, when I have become a CXO or a business head or project manager, I see value in what you did. And you know, maybe there's no direct correlation of it being evident in the revenue that we bring, but at the end of the day, it is helping people go from that point A to point B that Renuka mentioned. I think one final question, and you know, very short one, nothing that we want to do in detail, but uh, for all the folks on the, you know, on the call here, people who are in the L&D, OD, HR space, what do you think are the three key power skills that they should work on, uh, given the fact that there is a lot of disruption happening? So in the future, what are those three key power skills? Just quick answers, and then maybe we can. I'll just consolidate all of this that we spoke about. Anybody? Anybody can answer? Probably I'll maybe I just sprung it on you. I'll give you mine. I think for me it is empathy, because without which, you know, it becomes very difficult to have that human-centric approach. The second would be you know, the learning attitude that Sagar spoke about, the lifelong learning attitude. And third would be extreme ownership, because I think that is the differentiator between people who believe in action and the people who believe in outcomes. Uh, so extreme ownership is what differentiates between action is dropping an email and then saying that, hey, I dropped in an email, and hopefully, so it's passing the monkey to somebody else's shoulder, right? Whereas owning the outcome is extreme ownership. Yeah, there's a book called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, who's an ex US Navy SEAL. If you get some time, please do give it a read. But yeah, Renuka, you want to take a quick shot at this?
In addition to that, I believe in communication. You know, communication is a very, very important aspect, probably underrated. but then the ability to comprehend, the ability to articulate, the ability to be able to put across your thoughts effectively is really important. Now, this communication not just talks about putting across your ideas and opinion, but also assessing the people that you are dealing and interacting with. My approach is going to be very different when I'm talking to a CEO and whereas I'm talking to somebody who's fairly new in the system or a new hire or a fresher, somebody who's just a college pass out. Communication happens to be one aspect which is evolving. The standards for communication has, the perfection standards itself has been evolving. It has been rising. We really need to keep up with that bit. Adaptability is another, I mean, we take it for granted. It's underrated, but I think one's openness to be able to change and implement the whatever feedback inputs you get from others is equally important. If I'm failing to adapt, I'm failing to just be there. Okay, I mean, I'm going to be obsolete, I'm going to be out dead in a very short period of time if I'm failing to adapt. Emotional intelligence also, the only thing which differentiates human beings from a lot of other species and from technology also now with AI in picture is emotions, right? We should be able to understand emotions. We should be able to uh, articulate that pretty well, and we should be able to use it effectively while we are communicating with people. If you're able to tap on to that emotional side of your people, you have won half the battle, because something which motivates every individual is emotion. It could be different. Some people are chasing happiness, some people are chasing maybe peace of mind, or some they're looking for how content am I with my life. It is just emotion. What emotion motivates you to get up every day in the morning and to drag yourself to work? If you're able to fuel that fire there, again, you're sorted. So identifying that bit is really important for us. I mean, these are my top priorities. The rest, I mean, the list
Thanks.
is never ending though.
Absolutely. So it's just to identify those top ones according to us. Of course, it will differ for everyone. Sagar, quick thoughts on that.
Yes, and if I have to give unique one, then curiosity, and I would say the Socratic mindset, asking questions, not just following the orders coming to from business. And the last one, which I would say, is resilience.
Wonderful. I think the last one, I also resonate with it a lot, especially in today's scenario, because there's so many ups and downs. If you're not able to quickly, forget about that down, learn from it, move on, it becomes very difficult to even thrive. Rupali, your thoughts on your top three?
So I believe that adaptability and resilience, these are close to me too. That is critical to be able to move ahead, to be able to handle situations. So adaptability and resilience will be my top ones. Then you have to have the continuous learning approach, and that's our bread and butter. So it's necessary for us as well that people have a continuous learning approach. And the last one that I would want to prioritize is having an innovative mindset. So just not following what is already in practice, but also being able to find your new ways. So constant focus on efficiencies and efficacies is important to me.
Great. Thanks, Rupali. Thanks, Renuka. Thanks, Sagar, for that. I think over the last 1 hour or so, we have spoken a lot about the different aspects, and probably where we need to now. I'll just quickly, talk about what are the different things that came across from the panel, just for everybody's. These are those notes that you, or rather, if you have ever copied during an exam, these are the things that you write on a chit, right? I did, but bad example to give. But yeah, I think when with respect to empowering our workforce with respect to power skills, it helps influence. You have to stay aligned to the org goals, and being emotionally intelligent helps have an edge over others. And I think that's where that differentiation matters, right? If you want to make a mind shift change with respect to unlocking the power skills and the empowerment that you get with the power skills, I think it is one thing that we identified is that it is very, very tough to attain, which means that there's extra work that needs to go into it. And with the advent of AI, it is easy to attain, things like a chat GPT or any technical skill, but it is equally difficult to go on the path where we are doing it on power skills. And maybe identifying those assessments for the cultural fitment and evaluations being done on those aspects will help you make that change. And having managers speak, so getting people to rally for the idea that you want to sell is equally important. uh, then we had, how do you craft structured learning pathways? And one of the fundamentals is to unlearn and relearn, and then go into the customizations that are necessary to make it more relevant for the end user. And this we can do with the help of, having competency frameworks with respect to the different job profiles that we have within the organization, and curating separate competencies for those um pathways and for those job families or job profiles, if I can call it, will also help. With AI disrupting everything so fast, what we need to now look at is, having the availability of cognitive assessments to come in and do that work for us. Uh, Having a thinking ability to make sure that we are able to connect with people, understand what are the challenges, identify those, and then try and have stopgap measures or even uh, extensive uh, uh, frameworks to put in place into those aspects. Then we spoke about how there is a correlation between the power skill as well as the business outcomes, and this was more about how do you align the business and its priorities to human capital development. And this is where we quickly spoke about, Renuka came in and spoke about how it is important to rally people, how it is important to find those ambassadors for ourselves, and align the business objectives to the goals, and then enable the entire aspect to make it helpful for the end user, which is the human capital development. And in turn it will automatically take care of the business objectives, because that's something that we did right at the start. Then we came to the $1 million question about ROI, where we launched longitudinal studies, have individual learning pathways for people, as much as possible hyper personalize it, so that they understand the importance of moving from one point to the other, and thereby seeing benefit in that. And then we finally spoke about the top power skills that we as HR folks should be developing. We spoke about communication, empathy, learning ability, extreme ownership, adaptability, emotional intelligence, curiosity, inquisitiveness, resilience, and an innovative mindset. So that's that. In my opinion, it was a very insightful last 1 hour, where we are now able to go back with different things in our armor to make this much more relevant for the organization, as well as for our humans, or rather our employees, at the end of the day. So let me take this opportunity to thank Renuka, Sagar, and Rupali for all those wonderful insights. Uh, and over to Bilal and the EduRam team.
Thank you, Marin.
Pleasure was all mine, Anushka. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Yeah, it was really a roller coaster. Yeah, so Marin, thanks a lot. A heartfelt thank you to Marin for skillfully straightening our discussion and ensuring the productive exchange of ideas, of your guidance also for and moderating a very pivoted in making this panel discussion a success. And rest of Renuka, thank you also for this, for sharing your real world experience and shedding lights of empowering impact of power skills. Your insights have truly enriched our discussions. Sagar, thanks you also for this. Your perspectives on the mindset shift required for ML power skills were enlightening. Thank you for providing particular tips and practical tips and thought-provoking insights. Yeah. And Rupali, thanks a lot for your expertise and navigating organization challenges and building structure and learning pathway has been invaluable for us. Thank you. And rest of us, thank you everyone for joining this valuable panel discussion. EduRam has been hosting such kind of panel discussion from last 3 months now, and we are excited to keep them going. Do not forget to follow us on our LinkedIn and on our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more insightful discussions and updates. Thank you.